Welcome to our Meet the Management series, where we explore the real stories behind the people building and leading businesses. I'm Tabitha Oxford, and today I am joined by Michelle Janse van Rensburg, an entrepreneur whose journey offers both insight and honesty into the realities of running a business. In this conversation, we'll unpack Michelle's background, how she defines her role beyond traditional labels, and dive into the often overlooked topic of burnout in entrepreneurship. We'll also talk about how she manages her time and energy, her perspective on hustle culture, and the impact that business pressures can have on personal relationships. Before we get into the topic of burnout, maybe just tell us who Michelle the entrepreneur is and a bit of your background.
I think who Michelle the entrepreneur is a difficult one because I think that changes season on season or quarter on quarter. You become who you need to be in that quarter or in that goal setting period. A little bit of background. I did study accounting, not because I wanted to. I just had a really strict dad. So studied accounting, did my articles, but I've said since probably the age of 10 that I'll run my own business one day. And then from there, my journey just sort of was a lot in tech and process automation and standard operating procedures until I eventually started Nimacc in 2016.
When you introduce your business to a prospective client, do you call yourselves accountants?
Our elevator pitch sucks, so I'm just going to be upfront about that. It's quite a difficult one. But we normally say digital transformation or process automation specialists. But it's tricky because digital transformation has become such a buzzword. And every second person is saying they do digital transformation. We've been doing this for a number of years. So we'll often say we have accounting backgrounds because that speaks to us understanding costings and landed cost. And, we understand debit and credit. We know where the numbers need to land once the systems are implemented. But we'd normally say like process automation or digital transformation specialists.
Could you take us through your experience of burning out and how did you know you just couldn't carry on?
It's a loaded question, but I just started my business. It's been so long now, I sometimes forget the dates and the timelines a little bit. But I'd had my business probably for about a year or so when I just realized I couldn't wake up in the mornings. I would get home from a full day of hustling and I'd basically get into bed with my heels and my makeup and my earrings and basically just fall flat face on the bed, not even under the duvet, and just sleep for probably like 15 hours. So it wasn't hiding, but for a long time I tried to avoid it. So I was seeing doctor after doctor, I was seeing the GP, I was seeing homeopaths, I was seeing gynecologists, any doctor that would take me, I would see them like throwing the textbook at the situation, going, there's something wrong, there's got to be a vitamin I can take, or there's got to be an extra blood test that's going to show us what's wrong. And eventually, like every single doctor I saw just said to me, this is severe executive burnout. Like it's not going to go away in 2 weeks, this is going to take months to go away. So it just basically got to a point where I realized like there's no way that I can hustle out of this or caffeine out of this. It's just you're not tired and it is what it is.
If you look at the way you manage your time today, what are the coping strategies you have put in place to help you better manage your time and energy?
So I'm going to answer that sort of a little bit twofold, but I think what we've got in place now is the right systems. I mean, I've got an amazing team in place. And also to be honest with myself, to say, when you're literally not thinking clearly anymore, you get to a point where you're just working slowly, you're not working as effective as what you could be working or should be working, and then to tap out and then to take that break. But I'm also not a fan. I think the mental health thing has also been taken too far. I think people are just tapping out too easily these days, maybe saying I'm too tired or I'm overworked, or I think I've got burnout when they've only been hustling a little bit hard for like a month or two. So I mean, we've put in the right systems and we've put in the right processes, but it's also about still having that little bit of hustle and that bit of grit to say, sometimes you do need to push through. Like you can't keep postponing a deadline with a client. Sometimes you do need to push through, but also about having those honest conversations with the client. When I just started my business, I was so eager to please everybody and to please all the clients that if it was Friday afternoon, 3:00, and the client said, can I have it by Tuesday? I'd just say yes. And then Tuesday morning, you'd be speaking to a client and they'd be like, oh, it's urgent. Can I have it on Thursday? And I'd just say yes. Whereas now it's more about having those honest conversations with the clients. And I think having been in business for so many years, you can really understand like what is urgent and what is not urgent. And if it is genuinely urgent for that client, and I can understand why it is urgent, what the effect is on their business, then yes, then we'll hustle, we'll pull that all night if we have to, and we'll get it done. But if it's not that urgent, then to have that honest conversation with the client and say, would it really be like, is it really necessary Tuesday? Would it make a difference if I sent it to you on Thursday? And 9 out of 10 times the client says yes. Like genuinely people are kind and understanding, but to really have those honest conversations with the clients about the deadlines and why they want it on that certain day.
And as you've mentioned before about hustle culture, what is your take on hustle culture? And do you think that social media contributes to entrepreneurship stress?
I don't think anymore, because I think a lot of the social media at the moment is mental health and work-life balance and all these things. And I mean, I'm an advocate for that, like, don't get me wrong. But I also, I can't sit here now and say, have a balanced life and make sure you sleep when I hustled my butt off for so many years when starting my business. Because, the question remains, like, would I be where I am now if I hadn't put in those hard yards? If I hadn't put in those hours I put in right in the beginning? Would I still be where I am now? So I think, I think the hustle culture in terms of social media is fading a lot, which actually grinds me a little bit, because I think it's giving the wrong impression. It's telling people you can be successful and you can build businesses without putting in the work, where I think, you still need to put in the work. But I think in my case, when I burnt out, I was building a business. I was doing full distance Ironman triathlons. And to be honest, I was having a jewel, I was also out quite a lot. So whereas, now when we're grafting hard, it's about saying, okay, you're grafting. You're not doing Ironmans and grafting and this and that, you're just working hard. And in that sense, like still getting enough sleep. So I think that the social media message around that does need to change a little bit. Not to be like, let's all burn out, like that's not what we're saying, but also like hard work is actually still necessary to achieve your goals.
And lastly, let's touch on relationships. Being an entrepreneur, you face very different pressures from somebody who is employed in a more stable 9-to-5 job. What are your thoughts on how you can manage stress points when it comes to friends and loved ones?
And so I've personally lost a number of friends over the years, unfortunately. But that being said, the friends that have stayed, I've got friends that have been in my life for over 20 years and over 10 years. So, the good ones and the true ones will always stay. But there's a saying that says, an entrepreneur, one of the most important decisions you can make in life is who you marry, or, who your life partner is. And I'm fortunate to have a partner that, although he works as an employee, he works exceptionally hard. Say he works longer hours than what I do. So he works exceptionally hard. So I think it's also about, I really believe you're the average of the 5 people you're going out with. So if you're surrounded by people that are go-getters and that are ambitious and that are driven, it actually doesn't matter whether they're employees or entrepreneurs, like they'll get where you're coming from. The issue is normally the people that are less ambitious and less driven, that are normally the first ones to sort of point fingers. So I mean, I'm grateful that I had amazing friends, the ones that have stuck, and family that stood by me. And like I said, now I've got an amazing husband who backs almost every decision I make. So I really think it's just about you, the average of the 5 people you're going out with, choose that crowd.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey so openly and honestly with us, Michelle. Your insights into burnout, time management, and the realities behind entrepreneurship offer an important reminder that success isn't just about growth, but also about sustainability and well-being. We appreciate you taking the time to be part of this conversation and for shedding light on topics that resonate with so many business owners. To our audience, thank you for joining us.